Are you up for a detective challenge? Then grab a pen and a piece of paper. Each correct answer will give you 1 point. You'll find the results at the end of the video. Aaron has just become a detective and already got his first real case. He has to work undercover at a luxurious resort. The police suspect that the hotel owners are involved in some shady deals. Aaron's first task is to sneak into the manager's office and check his documents. But the door is locked, and there's a combination lock. Aaron has to figure out the password. The young detective knows he needs to solve a math riddle, and the answer will be the code. 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, 1 + 1 times 0 + 1 equals... As soon as he punches in the code, the door opens. What is the correct number? It's 30. There are no mathematical symbols at the end of the first and second lines. It means the whole thing looks like this. 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 1 + 1 times 0 + 1 equals 30. Aaron manages to get into the office and look through the papers, but he doesn't find anything useful there. While the detective was busy, one guest discovered her diamond ring and earrings were missing. Someone must have stolen the jewelry. Aaron has 3 suspects: Walter, another guest, Alice, a maid, and Alan, a porter. The undercover detective decides to check their rooms. He can't spend much time there, but what he sees is enough for him to understand who the thief is. Can you figure it out? It's Alice. There's already a packed suitcase in her room. She's about to run away with the stolen jewelry. Another day, another problem. This time, someone pushed elderly Mrs. Stevenson into the swimming pool when there was no one around. But this someone didn't know the lady was once the best swimmer of her university, and she never stopped practicing. And it wasn't difficult for her to cross the swimming pool and get out of it at the other side. Aaron asked the lady if she had seen the attacker. She didn't, but she was sure it was someone who knew she'd just received a huge inheritance. The detective needed to talk to 3 people. There were Mrs. Stevenson's son, Terry, her granddaughter, Gloria, and her niece, Judy. Terry said, "These days I've been very busy. Something urgent came up at work. I don't even have time to leave my room to go to breakfast or dinner." Gloria asked Aaron to keep her secret. She was seeing a waiter she'd met at a beach cafe. If her relatives found out, they would be furious. And Judy told Aaron she'd taken a car to go shopping to the city center. Who is lying? Terry. The man looks sunburned. How can it be if he hasn't left his room for days? Aaron suspected one guest was involved in the newest criminal scheme of the hotel owners. He started to follow the man, watching his every step. At night, the detective would climb the tree growing next to the man's room and check if he was doing something fishy. One night, he saw the man tossing and turning in his bed for hours. He must be up to no good, Aaron thought. As if on cue, the man picked up the receiver, dialed some number, waited for a while, and hung up without saying a word. Soon after that, he fell asleep. What was the whole thing about? Someone was snoring loudly in the room next to his, but the phone ringing woke up the person who was snoring, and the man finally managed to fall asleep. Finally, our undercover detective seems to be on the right track. A rich businessman, Mr. Wilson, disappeared from his room. It was rumored he'd come to buy the resort from the current owners. The police questioned 4 suspects and shared this information with Aaron. The businessman's assistant said, "I felt unwell on our way here. I went to my room, and as soon as we arrived, took some medicine, and fell asleep immediately." The hotel owner said, "We agreed to meet with Mr. Wilson in a conference room, but I got lost while trying to find him. I finally came there, but Mr. Wilson never showed up." Mr. Wilson's wife, who accompanied him on his trip, said, "My husband was going to meet with the hotel owner. I'm not interested in business, so I went to the spa." Who is behind the businessman's disappearance? The hotel owner. How could he get lost in his own hotel? Ethan put a coin into an empty bottle and plugged it tightly with a cork. Then he told his friend he'd remove the coin without breaking the bottle or taking out the cork. And he did it. How? Ethan pushed the cork into the bottle and shook it to make the coin fall out. Jack was about to fail his exam. Luckily, the professor gave him one last chance. The guy had to arrange 4 nines to make them equal 100. He could use any math symbols. How did he do it? Jack figured out the correct answer pretty fast. 99 plus 9 out of 9 equals 100. Christina was dreaming of dating a rich boy from her college. After doing some research, she settled on 3 guys. All of them were nice and interested in her. But the girl needed the richest. Once she saw them having lunch together. After checking what each of them was eating, Christina made her choice. Which guy did she pick? The guy who's eating seafood and avocado. Not only are these products the most expensive, but they're also the healthiest. When do you look at number 2 and say 10? It happens when you look at your wristwatch. You're given 8 eggs. You need to break 2, cook 2, and eat 2. How many eggs will you have in the end? You can break, cook, and eat 2 eggs. It'll leave you with 6 eggs. Julia was angry with her boyfriend. She sent a message to her best friend who lived in Switzerland. In this message, the girl complained about something the guy had done, but her friend sent her a very strange reply. Give, get. Give, get. Give, get. Give, get. What did Julia's friend mean? She wanted to say that Julia should forgive and forget. You're walking through the forest. Suddenly, you see a crossroad and a man standing there. One road leads to the village where criminals live, and the other to a safe place. You don't know whether you could trust this person. You can ask him one question. If the man is a criminal, he'll lie. If he's from the safe place, he'll tell you the truth. Which question should you ask? Where is your village? If the person is innocent, he'll send you to the safe place. If he's a criminal, he'll lie and point to the safe place too. It was Mr. and Mrs. Anderson's wedding anniversary, and everyone was getting ready for the party. Mrs. Anderson wanted to put on a diamond bracelet her husband gave her for their wedding. When she opened her jewelry box, she didn't see the bracelet. Trying not to panic, the woman called her teenage daughters, Joan and Andrea. I've told you 1,000 times not to touch my things, and still, one of you has taken my jewelry again. Joan shouted, I haven't touched your jewelry box. Andrea also denied taking her mom's stuff. Why would I need your bracelet? I've got lots of my own. Which girl is lying? It was Andrea who took the earrings. Mrs. Anderson didn't specify which piece of jewelry was missing. Then how did the girl know it was a bracelet? Can you figure out the answer to this rebus riddle? Mary plus Mary. The answer is summary. 1 out of 9 identical balls is heavier than the others. How can you figure out which one it is after only 2 weighings? You should divide all the balls into 3 groups and weigh 2 of them. That's how you can figure out which group contains the heavy ball. After that, you should pick 2 balls from the heaviest group, weigh one of them with the other, and you'll understand which ball of the 3 is the heaviest. And now, the best part, your results. If you got 0 to 5 points, it might be too early to try on your Sherlock's hat. Practice more, pay attention to details, and you'll get there. If your score is 5 to 10 points, you're probably ready to apply for a detective's assistant position. And then, with some more experience, you might even replace your boss one day. And if you got 11 to 15 points, you can easily open your own detective agency. You have a sharp eye for details and amazing logical skills.
Mark and Jane got married and flew off to a paradise island to spend their honeymoon there. But something went wrong. After the couple checked into their hotel, Jane suddenly disappeared. The hotel owner announced that Mark would have to play a game to get his wife back. If he won, they'd get a big cash prize that would cover the cost of their honeymoon. Mark had to agree. The host gave him a special jacket and said, "Tomorrow at sunrise, you'll only have time till sunset to finish all the tasks and save your wife. Mark will need your help to solve all the riddles and get his wife back, so stick around to help him." The next day at sunrise, Mark finds himself near the entrance of a huge labyrinth. Its walls are way taller than the guy, and there's no way to know where to go. Mark is worried that once he walks in, he won't be able to find his way out. How can he escape the labyrinth without getting lost and wasting too much time? There's one strategy to escape any labyrinth. Mark should put his right hand on the right wall and go forward, touching it at all times. He'll be walking into dead ends along the way, but if he follows the right wall, he'll get out of them and will eventually find his way out of the labyrinth. So, Mark walks in. Several minutes later, Mark takes another turn and sees a guard standing in his way. "Sorry, but you have to solve my riddle if you want to come through." What is that thing you have to break before you can use it? Do you have something in mind? That's an egg. The guard says nothing, just moves to the side, letting Mark pass. Again, his right hand on the right wall. He's moving further. 20 minutes later, the guy sees a locked door on his way. There are 5 buttons on the door, but only one of them will let Mark pass. If he chooses the wrong one, the door will get blocked until sunset, and he won't be able to save his wife. So, choose carefully. Which button will let him in? There's something special about almost all these buttons. The first one, unlike others, doesn't have an outline. The second one is of a different shape. The third button is of a different color. And the last one is smaller than all the others. Only the fourth button doesn't have any distinctions. That's what makes it one of a kind. I bet Mark should press that one. And it's the right button. The door clicks open and Mark steps through. His right hand is on the wall and off he goes. Apparently, it's time for breakfast. Mark comes up to the table. There are 3 apples, but only one of them is safe to eat. The other 2 are poisonous. Unfortunately, Mark can't skip breakfast. Which apple should he eat? Look, this apple has a caterpillar in it. It means there's no poison in the fruit, and it's safe to eat. 20 minutes later, there are 2 more doors on Mark's way. He has to pick one of them. The first door is the way out, and the second one will take him back to the labyrinth. Which door should he choose? Look, there's some light coming from under the door. It must be the way out. Mark puts his hand on the doorknob, and it's the right choice. He's out, and a thick forest surrounds him. The view is beautiful, but he should get moving. He's running out of time. Where should he go next? He sees 3 signs, but the letters are mixed up. Can you figure out which way Mark should choose? These signs are hints. If you put the letters on them in the correct order, the first sign will turn into right way, the second one into wrong way, and the last one will be wronger way, which is grammatically incorrect. Anyways, I guess Mark should opt for the left direction. Sometime later, Mark stumbles across a big old castle. He should enter it and see what's happening there. He comes up to the door, but it's locked. It requires a password. Here's a sequence of numbers. 4 more digits must be added to it. Can you guess which ones? One plus 3 is 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. 4 plus 7 is 11. Then 7 plus 11 is 18. So the next digits are 2 and 9. 29. Because that's 11 plus 18. And 18 plus 29 gives us 47, which is 4 and 7. The password is 2947. And this is the right answer. The door clicks open, and Mark walks into a dark and dusty corridor. But once he takes a step, he moves a string on the floor, and a metal cage falls down, trapping him inside. Luckily, there's a way to deal with it. On the wall, the guy sees 3 buttons and an instruction. If Mark presses the blue button, the cage will be filled with water and will only open in 10 minutes. Just an FYI, the average person can survive without air for 3 to 4 minutes at most. The green button will open all the cages at the same time. But look around, there's one more cage in the room, and inside that cage, a hungry wolf is pacing. The orange button will make the floor of the cage disappear, and Mark will fall into a hole filled with hungry alligators. What is the guy's best choice? Seriously, there's no need to try anything risky. If Mark hits the blue button, the water will just go through the bars of the cage, and in 10 minutes, Mark will be free to go. Soon, the cage opens. Mark sees a long corridor with many turns. Mark's task is to figure out which turn is the one he needs. But it's not that hard. The guy is actually inside an art gallery with paintings on the wall. After every turn, he can see 2 pictures. Mark should just follow the original paintings. He will need your help to tell them apart. Okay, here's the first one. Which one is the original? Both paintings seem to be The Starry Night by Van Gogh. But look, in one of these pictures, there's a couple of planes in the sky. Van Gogh definitely didn't paint that, so this one must be the replica. So Mark should better choose the other turn. Another turn, another choice. This time, it's Girl with a Pearl Earring by Johannes Vermeer. Which one is the original? I don't think the girl in the real masterpiece had a nose piercing, so the painting on the right is fake, and Mark should turn left. But surely you know this one, Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. But one of the paintings is really messed up. Can you spot the difference? Look, in the right picture, you can see some cars on the road behind the woman's back. I think Mark should turn left. This is The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali. Which painting is a replica? It's the one on the left. I don't think a melted modern smartphone belongs there. Turn right. And one more choice to make. It's American Gothic by Grant Wood. Look closely and help Mark choose. The man in the right picture has tattoos on his knuckles, which makes the painting fake, so Mark should turn left. He finds himself in a dark hallway, lit by several torches. There are 3 doors. Each of them can lead Mark to the place he needs, but behind each door, there's something dangerous. The instruction on the wall says that behind the first one, there's an iron block equipped with a movement sensor. It crushes everyone who enters. Behind the second door, there's an electric shocker that never misses. Behind the third door, there's shattered glass all over the floor. Which way should Mark choose? He should pick the third door. He's wearing a pair of shoes, right? So the glass isn't gonna be a big problem. Finally, Mark sees his wife. She's trapped in an aquarium, and soon she's going to run out of oxygen. But the main problem? There are 2 aquariums and 2 women. Both unconscious and absolutely the same. Mark has to figure out who the real Jane is, and he only has 1 attempt. Which woman is his wife? Look, one of the women has an M tattooed on her wrist. M stands for Mark. It must be the guy's wife. He rushed towards her and takes her out of the water. Half a minute later, she comes back to her senses. They have to get out now. Once again, there are 3 ways out. Behind the first door, there is a hungry wolf. Behind the second door, the floor is burning. This time, wearing shoes can't help much. Behind the third door, the room is filled with toxic gas. How can the couple get out? The floor is burning, so they have an aquarium full of water. The fire isn't that huge, so this amount of water should be enough to stop it. It's the right choice. Mark and Jane walk out the second door and run towards the exit they see in front of them. On the way out, there's a guard. Congratulations, you've completed the quest, but I will only let you out if you solve my last riddle. There's something that Saturn, Uranus, Venus, and Mars have that Earth doesn't. What is that? It's the letter S. As simple as that. It's a cold night. Dark city streets, lights of driving cars, sounds of sirens, loud voices, chilly air, wet asphalt. Are you ready to get rid of the crime in this city? Then remember to count your correct answers. November 4th, 2021. It's been raining for 3 days, but even this is not enough to wash away all the dirt of the city. For several hours, Detective Sadfist had been sitting in his car near the house of a Hollywood star. The detective is sure that someone is going to rob her house. The actress doesn't believe in this. In the distance, he sees a tall man in a hat. He approaches the door and knocks. The actress opens the door and greets the stranger. "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was my house," he says. "It has a very similar design." The actress closes the door and the stranger leaves. The detective gets out of the car and arrests him because the man is a thief. Why is the detective so sure about this? If the stranger had really thought it was his house, he wouldn't have knocked on the door. He'd have tried to open it with a key. The detective takes the thief to the station. The rain is finally over. It promises to be a long night, so the detective goes to buy a coffee. At this moment, the radio reports an arson to the south of the central square. No time for coffee. Sadfist hits the gas pedal and drives to the place. He notices the flames from afar. 2 houses are burning. The detective notices several more police cars. A police officer tells him that one house belongs to a rich businessman. There's a lot of money inside. The owner of the second house is a poor artist. His paintings are burning now. Which house will the detective go to first to put out the fire? He's not a firefighter, so he won't approach either house. After watching the flames for a while, Detective Sadfist gets into his car and realizes he can't take it anymore. He needs some sleep. He doesn't want to go home because his house reminds him of her, and he doesn't need those memories at the moment. He decides to rent a hotel room. The detective asks the hotel administrator to wake him up at 7 a.m. Of course, the man says, but don't forget to call me first. Then I'll come to wake you up. One call will be enough. What does the detective need to do to make the lazy guy wake him up? He can set an auto call for 6:50 a.m. The detective enters the room and falls on the bed. At this moment, the door starts opening slowly. The faces of people he has thrown into jail appear out of the darkness. The detective sits up on the bed and the door slams shut. At first, Sadfist doesn't understand what just happened, but then he lets out a sigh of relief. It was just a nightmare. How has he figured it out? It's already light outside. It was dark when the detective checked into the hotel. That means he was asleep. A new day, a new case. The detective is going to the countryside. A girl has disappeared there. Sadfist intends to find her. He stops his car near 3 houses. They're located on the ocean beach. 3 roads lead to the houses. Sharp rocks and shards of glass cover the first road. The second road is swarming with snakes. Lava is boiling on the third road. Which path should the detective choose? The ocean will soon cool the lava and turn it into stone. The detective follows the third path. He enters the house and finds the missing girl there. She confesses that she stayed late at a party, and her mother was so worried that she called the police. Detective Sadfist arrives at an office building in the center of the city. He goes up to the top floor. Here, a rich banker is lying unconscious. Someone hit him on the head and stole important documents from his safe. There's a tape recorder on the banker's desk. The detective turns it on. The banker's voice comes from the microphone. "My nephew. He called me a few minutes ago and said he would break into my office and take my documents. I don't know what to do. If something happens to me, you should know. My nephew Michael is to blame. Oh no, I think I heard the elevator doors open. I think it's him. He's here." The recording ends. "We must find his nephew," one of the police officers says. "I don't think so. The nephew has done nothing wrong. The man just wanted to frame him," Sadfist answers. How did the detective figure that out? Someone rewound the tape in the recorder to the very beginning. It's unlikely that the nephew did it. He'd get rid of the recorder. The detective leaves the office, gets into the elevator, and meets an old concierge. They go down very slowly. The concierge looks attentively at the buttons. The detective asks him what's the matter. The concierge answers that 5 people live on the 35th floor. 3 live on the 20th floor. 4 people live on the 7th floor. And 7 people live on all other floors. The building has 40 floors in total. The concierge asks, which elevator button is pressed most often? What do you think? The answer is the first floor button. It's pressed by every resident. The detective gets into the car and drives to a cafe. He hasn't eaten anything since yesterday. He orders an omelet and opens a newspaper. There's a riddle on the front page. In the winter, a guy went to a nearby village to meet with his friends. He knew he needed to go through a forest, a small field, then a forest again, and only after that would he reach his goal. The guy started his journey. He went through the forest, the field, another forest. But then, he saw a big river. How can he cross it? The detective grins because he knows the answer. And what about you? It was winter. The river was frozen. A waiter approaches Sadfist and puts his omelet with coffee on the table. The detective eats, then calmly gets up from the table and heads to the kitchen. There, he meets a masked robber. The detective arrests him. How did he know there was a criminal in the kitchen? Rob in kitchen was written on the coffee mug. The robber is detained by other police officers, and Sadfist goes back to his car. He has a new case. He arrives at an antique store. Some swindler has deceived the store owner and sold him a fake coin. The coin has a date on it, 175 BCE. It looks old. The analysis has shown that the coin is ancient. The store owner says he thought it was really made before the current era. How did he eventually understand the coin was a fake? People who lived before our era couldn't write BCE on their coins. Sadfist leaves the store. Oh no, his shoes are torn. The detective gets into his car and goes to a shoe store. He parks, gets out of his car, and he sees 3 stores. The best shoes in the city, the sign on the first building claims. The best shoes in the world is written on the second building. But the inscription on the third store is the best. Detective Sadfist smiles and goes there. What's written on the third store? The best shoes on the street. After doing some shopping, Sadfist drives down the street and sees a group of suspicious people standing next to a building under construction. The detective stops the car. People notice him and run away in the other direction. The detective runs after them. It seems they've managed to escape, but Sadfist doesn't think so. He calls for backup and tells the police he's caught a gang of hooligans. They're all hiding in a transformer box. How did the detective know that? After all, he lost sight of the hooligans at some point. The hooligans ran on uncured concrete and left footprints leading to the transformer box. Oh no! Now, Sadfist's new shoes are stained with wet concrete. The detective gets into the car and goes to the laundry. There he meets the owner, who finds out about another crime. The owner claims that someone has taken a huge amount of money from his safe. But the detective realizes that there was no thief. The owner stole the money himself to get compensation from the insurance company. Sadfist has noticed this laundry gets robbed too often, but the owner hasn't changed the locks or strengthened security yet. But how can the detective prove the money hasn't been stolen? There are banknotes in that washing machine over there. That's where the owner hid the money. Tired, the detective returns home. His apartment is a mess. Since she left him, the house has turned into a dump. A mouse squeaks somewhere in the room. Inspect the apartment and help Sadfist catch the rodent. See that box with a hole? It looks like the mouse has chewed through it. Sadfist catches the tiny animal, but does nothing to it. He decides it will be his pet. The detective's mood is as bad as it always is. But maybe checking your score will cheer him up. 0 to 3 points. Detective Sadfist has only gotten sadder because you haven't helped him much in his investigation. 4 to 7 points. Not bad for an ordinary private detective, but it's unsatisfactory for Sadfist, the best detective in the city. Next time, try to be more attentive. 8 to 10 points. Well, it's better, but still not good enough. It's like having eaten a burger and still feeling a little hungry. 11 to 14 points. Today, the city can sleep peacefully. You've helped the detective in almost all cases. He deserves his long-awaited rest. And you do too.
So, 3 best friends have finally met in a cafe to discuss some business. Val orders a big cake with fruit. Simon asks for a glass of soda. and Leo takes an energy bar out of his bag and starts eating it. The waiter brings the cake and the soda and leaves. Simon drinks from his glass, but Val doesn't touch the cake. Why? There are slices of tomatoes and cucumbers on it. Val asked for a fruitcake. An archaeologist makes his way through the dense jungle of an unknown island. He's looking for a valuable treasure, a 2,000-year-old ancient cup. If he manages to get it, he can sell the artifact for millions of dollars. He comes out to a small lake with a waterfall. He dives under the water and notices 2 caves. The cup is inside one of them. Where should the archaeologist go? Think faster, he's running out of air. He needs to swim to the left cave. Air bubbles are floating out, which means there is some dry land inside the cave. Friends invited George to a picnic. He arrives at the agreed place in the forest, finds a wide clearing, and sees a group of 7 people there. None of them are his friends. Apparently, he's come to the wrong location. George is about to leave this place, but he notices that 3 people are not human. Find them. Look at the way that girl over there blinks. Ooh, creepy. This granny's cane is part of her hand, not a separate object. This guy is charging the phone through a cable connected to his leg. Well, that's convenient. 3 guys are sitting on the sidewalk. They're all in dirty clothes and look tired. Each of them hopes to get some money from people who are passing by. But nobody helps them, since one of these homeless people only pretends to be poor. Passers-by see this and don't want to help any of them. Who do you think is pretending? Look at this bald guy. You can notice a smartwatch on his wrist. Marshall has lost his shoes in a swamp, so now he's walking through the woods barefoot. It's getting cold and dark. Fortunately, he notices a small house ahead. Marshall hears someone singing inside. But before entering the building, he needs to choose one of these dangerous roads. The first one is swarming with poisonous scorpions. Broken glass covers the second path. Weird purple flowers grow on the third road. Which way should Marshall pick? This seems to be a tricky question, but there's no trick. Obviously, he needs to choose the path with the flowers. Marshall comes up to the house, peeks inside through the window, and recoils. A pale woman is rocking a crib with a straw puppet in it and singing a lullaby. A TV is working, but Marshall can't see what's on. Without turning her head to Marshall, the woman says she knows about the stranger standing outside. Marshall starts running away from this place as fast as possible. But how did the woman know about him? There's a hidden camera on the porch. The woman is watching the recording on the TV. Samantha has been wandering through the desert for several hours. The sand is so hot that she can't touch it. Samantha notices a tent far ahead. It's definitely not a mirage. The girl quickens her pace and reaches the spot. She finds a bottle of water, 2 eggs, and a frying pan inside. Samantha quenches her thirst. Now she feels hungry, but it's dangerous to eat raw eggs in the desert. You can get food poisoning. Samantha decides to fry the eggs. She wanders around trying to find some firewood, but sees nothing but endless dunes. How can Samantha cook the eggs? She can put the pan on the sand. It's hot. The sun will add to this heat, and the eggs will fry. There's a huge rock on the shore of a paradise island. There's a castle on the top of this rock. The owner of the castle finds a broken TV in the morning. He calls all the people who were inside that night: a cleaner, a clown, and a laundryman. "Who broke my TV?" the owner asks. "I was washing the dishes in the kitchen. I didn't touch anything," the cleaner replies. "I was rehearsing for my tomorrow's performance," the clown says. I was watching YouTube on my phone, the laundromat answers. Give it to me, the owner demands. He presses the lock button, looks at the screen, and says the laundryman has lied to him. What did the owner see on the phone? There's no network signal or Wi-Fi connection. The internet isn't working. The laundryman couldn't be watching YouTube. After taking a shower, Albert realizes he's lost his wedding ring.
Oh no!
He searches all the cupboards and nightstands in every room, but can't find it. It seems that the ring fell down the drain. Oh no, his wife will return home soon, and she'll definitely notice this disappearance. Albert goes to the bathroom, looks around for the last time, and nothing. The wife enters the apartment. She looks at her husband, asks him to turn around, and pulls the ring out of his hair. It got caught there while he was in the shower. But how did the wife know the ring was there? Albert was facing her. There's a mirror behind Albert. The wife noticed the ring in the reflection. A young philosophy teacher starts an exam. His students listen to him very attentively. Here's a task for you. Prove that I don't exist now. Those who will provide the most convincing arguments will get a high score. All the students passed the exam in a few seconds. How did they do it? They just walked out of the room. There's no teacher, so there's no exam. Alexis is walking along the street with her purse hanging from her shoulder. She's holding her hands in front of her face, but we can't see what she's doing. A motorcycle appears from around the corner behind. The driver notices Alexis. Now, he wants to steal her bag. The biker is accelerating. He's stretching his hand out, but Alexis steps aside at the last moment. The biker drives away. How did she figure out the guy wanted to rob her? She was looking into a small mirror, checking her makeup. When she noticed the biker in the reflection, the girl stepped aside. There's an old, abandoned warehouse in the city. People say it's a haunted place. Everyone is too afraid to go there. But one day, 3 boys and 2 girls decide to visit the building and paint graffiti on its walls. They approach the warehouse, but one girl, Rachel, refuses to come inside. She wants to wait for her friends outside. The rest of the group goes into the house. They're already gone for a few minutes. Rachel is about to call them, but at this moment, all 3 boys and 1 girl come out of the house. Rachel realizes that ghosts live in the warehouse and runs away. How did she know that? 4 people entered the building and 4 people came out. Where's the catch? One of the boys is different. It's not their friend. Besides, look at his legs. They're slightly transparent. Rachel immediately noticed this and ran away. Kenny is walking through an old abandoned hospital. There are portraits of doctors and some patients on the walls. Kenny illuminates his way with a flashlight. He goes down to the first floor and sees several people in white lab coats. They seem pretty normal and friendly. They're not the guys Kenny saw on the portraits, but he still realizes these doctors are ghosts. How did he figure it out? He was using a flashlight. When he pointed the beam at those people, they didn't cast shadows. It means they were not real. It's evening. Courtney leaves her house to go for a walk to the lake. The moon is shining. The water is calm. There's no wind. Courtney enjoys the silence and the chirping of crickets. She sits down on the grass, closes her eyes, and begins to meditate. At this moment, several people come out of the water. They sit next to Courtney, but she doesn't panic. She realizes she dozed off while meditating and sees a dream now. How did she know that? This time, trust your ears, not your eyes. Firstly, the sound of crickets disappeared. Also, there was no splashing heard when those people came out of the water. The prince of an unknown country arranged a huge party in his homeland. He invited all his friends and lots of celebrities, actors, musicians, and so on. And here he is, on the stage. He takes the microphone and thanks everyone for coming. But he sees only a few people in the hall. Yet he invited many more people. There are simple workers and rich people among his friends. They all live in different countries all over the world. Why haven't any of them arrived? The party is in an unknown country, remember? How could guests buy airplane tickets to an unknown place? Hey, I got a point there. Someone stole a collection of vinyl records from a rock star's house. To escape, the robber hid the records in a trash container. Then he disappeared into a dark alley. Fortunately, Detective Richardson caught him, along with 2 other suspects. Take a look at them. Who do you think the thief is? Look at this guy's shoes. An old banana peel has stuck to his sneaker. That's because he's been to the trash container.
This fresh set of optical illusions will definitely challenge your visual perception. If your brain isn't happy when you look at things that spin and flash, be careful and get somebody to watch this astonishing illusionary art with you. Ready? Go full screen and let's get started. Take a look at this pair of circles. It's not an illusion, they're identical, and they do rotate. But they don't actually move across the screen. The arrows confuse your brain, so it seems that the circles are shrinking and even moving back and forth. If you manage to focus your gaze so that they stop moving, you're a wizard. What about this shining star? Is it static or dynamic? Although the star seems to be pulsing, its size doesn't change at all, but its popping color creates an illusion of movement. Let's move on to our next one. Check this out. Can you spot any movement? This picture is static, but if you take your time to look at these flowers carefully, your brain will definitely convince you that they're moving. What about this picture? The direction of this pattern makes the brain think that the circle is rotating to the left, but it's a lie. The same goes for this cute pattern. Can you see it spinning around? What about this picture? Can you spot any movement? Well, in this case, it's not surprising because this image is animated. An optical illusion is not always an optical illusion, so be careful. Let's take a look at the next one. This star seems to be dancing because its asymmetrical shape confuses your brain's expectations. Maybe it's time to ask ourselves, what else is my brain lying to me about right now? What can you say about this beautiful pattern? Is it just a basic optical illusion or an animated video? That's right, it's an animation. Here's our next one. If you focus all your attention on the middle of this picture, it will soon begin to move. But in fact, it stays the same. Don't let your brain play tricks on you. Your perception of this image may change if you blink a bunch of times and shake your head. Moving on, take a look at this tricky pattern. Is this image static? Yes, it truly is. Some optical illusions work by fooling around with contrasts in our field of vision. These two circles consist of small rotating striped circles. They appear to change the direction of rotating thanks to how our brains deal with information immediately within our focus. It's different from the way it processes peripheral information. You can see it when you focus on one circle and then on another. Are you dizzy yet? Let's move on to the next one. Zigzag is a great tool to create a bunch of optical illusions that can make you feel like you're flying. But this particular zigzag pattern is animated. Is it? Nope, it's a static picture. Be careful with zigzags. The next optical illusion will make you see with your eyes closed. All you have to do is stare at this Marilyn Monroe's nose at the center of this portrait. Continue staring at the same spot for at least 7 seconds, and try not to blink. Ready? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now take a look at your ceiling and blink a bunch of times. Close your eyes. Can you still see the portrait? Don't worry, it'll disappear in a few seconds. This optical illusion is called an after image. It appears after you've stared at an image for some time. Usually, it requires around 30 seconds. Then you close your eyes or look at a white piece of paper afterwards. Overstimulation makes the rods and cones in your eyes lose sensitivity. That's why for a short period afterward, you interpret colors as their paired primary color. Now, let's take a look at this tricky pattern. Is this image static or dynamic? It's not an optical illusion. This pattern is animated. If you managed to guess, great job! Now, let's take a look at this one. Do these spheres move across the screen? Nope, they don't. If you were careful enough, you noticed the top moving when you squinted and concentrated on the spheres. This optical illusion is static. But if you take your time and focus on the center of the screen, it will begin to rotate. Let's move on to our next one. This optical illusion will make you feel like a magician and level up your concentration skills. At this point, you probably see that the static circles begin to move, pop, and spin slightly. But which way? There's no right answer here. The largest circle probably spins to the left. But if you switch your focus to the center of the image, the same circle will begin to spin to the right. The movement will change depending on which layer of this image you're currently focusing on. Arrows inside these colorful circles may confuse your vision. Try not to look at them, and you'll notice that the circles inside this illusion aren't changing their shape or moving at all. It's pretty clear that this crazy watermelon isn't spinning, isn't it? Nope. If you screw up with your eyes, you can verify this by focusing your gaze on the sphere. See? It doesn't move anymore. This figure can begin to move like a snake, and the black points will begin to blink white. But don't let your brain fool you. This image is still the same. Are you dizzy yet? Let's experiment with disappearing dots. Focus on the central green dot. Try not to blink for a while. You will see one or more of the yellow dots disappearing and then reappearing randomly. Here's another illusion with disappearing dots. Thousands of people worldwide complained that this simple optical illusion had made them question reality. There are 12 black dots at the intersections of this image, but your brain won't let you see them all at once. Well, how many dots did you count? There are 12 black dots in this image, and it's a fact, but most people can't see all 12 dots at once. When you're focusing on that black dot in the center of your field of view, your visual system is automatically filling in what's going on around it. And this regular pattern of gray lines on a white background makes your brain suggest that there are no black dots at all. That's why you miss the intermittent black dots, or they disappear and reappear as your eye jitters around. This cute animation is also very tricky. It pictures a moon and 6 stars surrounding it. There's also a dotted circular layer moving in the background. Try not to move your head at all. If you manage to focus your eyes on the moon and stay perfectly still, you'll soon notice that the stars begin to disappear. How many of them did you make disappear? There's no one correct answer here. The number of disappeared stars depends on your perception. This tricky wheel can make your brain think that it rotates, but it's a lie. You may notice that the wheel changes the direction when you tilt your head to the right or to the left. This trick will make your hands melt like water. Don't worry, it's not forever. Keep staring at the center of the screen for 30 seconds. Try not to blink. Now, take a look at your hands. Are they melting? You can also look at some text and notice that your vision is wavy. Take a look at this tricky optical illusion. What can you say about this wheel? Is it static or dynamic? It's static. Your brain plays tricks on you. Now let's give your eyes a little break by changing the task. Can you spot an odd monkey out? Here it is. Can you find a different monster out? This guy in the right corner doesn't look as happy as the others. There are many zeros in here. Can you also see another hidden number? Here it is. Does this pattern consist of red apples only? Nope. Here's one tomato. Can you find 2 similar emojis among this variety? Here they are. What about this set of emojis? Can you see 2 identical emojis? Here they are. Take a look at these emojis. Are they all different? Nope. These 2 emojis are similar. How many emojis can you find among this variety? There are 3. What about this collection? Can you spot any identical emojis here? This task is tricky. All these emojis are different. If you manage to crack our trick, good job! Take a look at this set. Can you find a pair of identical emojis? Nope, it's impossible, because these two are similar. Does this cat crowd have any odd details? This guy over here is not a cat, it's a rabbit. Can you find a 4-leaf clover in here? Here it is. Lucky you.
4 people are having dinner on a restaurant terrace. Jennifer is wearing 2 large gold bracelets and gold rings on each of her fingers. Martin's fiddling with a brand new phone and checking the time on his smartwatch. Connor has a tattoo on his hand and a dazzling gold watch on his wrist. Steve doesn't have any watches, rings, or bracelets, but he is wearing a smart suit. Only one of them is a millionaire. Can you guess who? It's Steve. He's got car keys in his pocket, and there's a brand new sports car parked nearby. Jennifer has old ripped shoes. All that gold's probably fake. Martin's phone is a knockoff, and Connor has old ripped shoes, just like Jennifer. Mark's teacher is great, but he's also kinda weird. He never lets Mark go home without solving some of his tricky riddles. Here's the first one. How many apples are there on a maple tree if apples grow 5 on a branch and there are 8 branches on the tree? Okay, this one's easy. Apples don't grow on maple trees. This next one's going to be harder. Get ready, said the teacher. Where are there cities with no houses, forests with no trees, and rivers without water? You've got only 7 seconds. Yeah, this one's easy too. On a map. Right, said the teacher. One more and I'll let you go. Who's the person everyone takes their hat off in front of? Mark knew the answer immediately, probably because he's a huge fan of Brightside Riddles. Can you guess it? It's a hairdresser, of course. Unless you want a really weird haircut, I guess. Poor Fanny lived with her stepmother and 3 wicked stepsisters. Her dream was to go to her favorite influencer's New Year's party, but her stepmother, Ruth, was pretty mean. She said Fanny could go only if she did everything Ruth asked. Ruth asked Fanny to bring her some water, but only gave her a colander to carry it in. How's Fanny gonna do it? Fanny needs to freeze some water and put it in the colander. Technically, it's still water. Time to choose the perfect dress. Fanny has 3 dresses, a blue one, a red one, and a green one. Which dress should Fanny wear? Find the best one in 10 seconds. Fanny should wear the red dress. That button on the blue dress is about to come off, and one of her stepsisters spilled paint on the green one. Which sister put paint on her dress? All 3 stepsisters are pretty mean. Time to investigate. Fanny snuck into their bedroom. 3 beds for 3 sisters. Bella, the oldest one, Stella, the middle sister, and Ella, the youngest one. Fanny only has a few seconds. Help her out. Can you figure out who ruined her dress? Stella's the culprit. There's a can of paint right under her bed. There's something all people in this world do at exactly the same speed. What is it? Aha, they get older. It flies without wings and cries without eyes. What is it? It's a cloud. What can you see with your eyes closed? A dream. Okay, enough with the easy short riddles. Let's go back to some harder ones. Jack and Jill set up a challenge. Whoever answers yes to every question wins. Jill was sneaky. She realized that there was one question nobody could say yes to. What question is that? The question is, are you sleeping? She waited until Jack fell asleep and then asked him the question. Whoa, those guys are intense. Emily and Mary are putting on their makeup, getting ready for a night out. They have really similar tastes. Their phones look the same, so do their lipsticks, clothes. So which one of them has the more expensive stuff? It's Mary. Take a closer look at Emily. Her dress kind of gives it away, since it's obviously a knockoff. When Mike was 25 years old, he tied a ribbon on a cherry tree in his grandfather's garden. 10 years later, he returned to see how much higher the ribbon was. If the tree grew by an inch each year, how much higher would the ribbon be? It wouldn't have changed position at all. Trees grow from the top up. The trunk just gets wider. A green apple costs $1, a red one costs $2, and a blue one costs $3. What apples and how many of them did Frank buy, if we know that he spent $3 using only 2 bills? Frank bought a green and a red one. He paid $1 bill for the green one and a $2 bill for the red one. Yeah, he could have grabbed the blue one and given the same 2 bills, but blue apples don't exist. Gotcha. 2 houses are on fire. One of them belongs to Jack. He's an accountant. The other one is a luxurious mansion that belongs to James, a pro basketball player. Which fire should the police put out first? Police don't put out fires. That's the fire department's job. 2 people came up to a large river. There was only one boat, and it was pretty old and shabby. The boat can carry only one person at a time, but both people got across the river. How come? One of the people was already on the other side of the river. Only one person needed a boat. 3 friends fell asleep under a tree in the countryside. While they were resting, someone passed by and painted mustaches on their faces. When the friends woke up, they started to laugh. But then, all of a sudden, they stopped. Why? At first, they saw the mustaches on their friends' faces and found it funny. But then, they realized their friends were laughing too. They had mustaches on their faces as well. Alice was walking through a dark forest. Suddenly, she saw an old cabin. Hey, wonder if a witch lives in there. She wanted to try her luck and snoop around, but the door was locked. On the gate, though, was a note with a secret code. Well, can you crack this code? The answer is magic. 3 stars before karma means you need to get rid of the first 3 letters. 2 stars after gift mean you need to get rid of the last 2 letters. For coat, You need to get rid of the last 3 letters. Aunt Tilda is a huge fan of cats. She lives in a 1-story house full of cat garden statues, a cat rug, cat wallpaper, cat cushions, and about 100 cat fridge magnets. Oh, and the 25 cats that live with her. What color cat is in the painting upstairs? She lives in a 1-story house. There aren't any cat paintings upstairs. Ashton loves taking and making bets. Every time he meets his friends, he has a new one. Last Friday, he suggested a challenge. He said he could place a bottle in the middle of a room and easily crawl into it. This time, Ashton's friends were sure they'd win. It seemed impossible. Still, Ashton won the bet again. How did he do it? He said he could place a bottle in the room and crawl into it. So he placed a bottle in the middle of the room and crawled into the room. Sneaky. You have 2 ropes. If you burn each side of the rope, it will burn for 60 minutes. How can you measure 45 minutes if you have these 2 ropes and a box of matches? You need to burn one of the ropes from both sides. At the same time, you set fire on the second rope too, but from one side only. When the first rope burns down, the second rope will still have 30 minutes to go. Now, you need to set on fire the second end of the rope. It'll burn 2 times faster, and you'll burn both ropes in 45 minutes. You're in a photo gallery. After looking at the wall, you realize that one of the pictures doesn't belong. You see a raccoon, a llama, a football, and a balloon. Can you tell which is the odd one out? You have 7 seconds to guess. It's the llama. The other 3 objects have 2 double letters in their names, but the llama only has 1. Gabrielle cooked a lovely dinner for her friends. When everybody was at the table, she suddenly realized one of them didn't like the meal. Who was it? It was Mike. He secretly shared it with Gabrielle's dog. 3 plus 3 equals 8. Move just 2 matches to make this equation correct. You've only got 10 seconds. It's 9 minus 9 equals 0. Grab a match from the plus to turn the 3 into a 9, and one more match from the 8 to turn the other 3 into a 9. There are 5 apples in a basket and 5 people in the room. Each person takes an apple, but there's still only 1 apple in the basket. How come? The last person took both an apple and the basket. So there.
Are you ready to dive into sci-fi madness? Let's go! Somewhere in outer space, a show has just begun on a giant asteroid. A glowing star guy is reading poetry. His viewers are little stone people. The artist is saying beautiful words with passion. He puts his heart and soul into the performance. He's finishing. A shining tear is rolling down his cheek. He bows to the audience, but no one is clapping. In fact, they don't react at all. Why? Because this is outer space. There's no sound here. Somewhere in the vast valleys of Mars, races on rovers are taking place. 5 cars are driving at high speed toward the finish line. 3 racers soon leave the others behind, but only one of them will be the winner. Take a look at the dashboard of each of the drivers. Try to figure out who will be the first to come to the finish line. The speedometer arrow on the first rider's dashboard shows the maximum speed, but he won't win because the fuel indicator is flashing. The second racer seems to be fine, but look at the mirror. No one is reflected there. The car is moving without a driver. The third driver will win. Each of these three friends is going on a journey. They have already packed their suitcases and filled the tanks of their spaceships. This guy says he wants to visit Neptune. That girl is going to check on her friends who live on Mars. This man is flying to Venus. Which of them is lying? Venus is very close to the sun. It's a scorching hot place. And this man is wearing warm clothes. He's probably lying. Show me your hands! The head of the Department of Extraterrestrial Beings screams. 3 detainees are sitting at the table. One of them is not human. Look at their hands. Who do you think is an imposter from another planet? Yeah, this guy has 6 fingers, but there are people on Earth who have such hands. Look at this girl. She has shining green eyes. Apparently, she's not from our planet. 3 wanderers are walking on the dark side of the moon. They're tired and lost. Fortunately, a rescue spaceship spots them. The travelers beg to take them on board, but there is only one seat. The first wanderer carries a heavy box with meteorite rocks. He's tired and can no longer walk with this load. The second guy carries nothing, but he looks sick. The third wanderer says he's exhausted because he's extremely thirsty. He hasn't drank for 2 days. Who really needs help? Gravity is much weaker on the moon than on Earth, so the first wanderer's box should be quite light. He just pretends to be tired. The third wanderer has a chance to get some water. Do you see a small rescue station in the distance? H2O is written on it, so he can find water there. But the second wanderer really needs help. The indicator on his spacesuit signals a low oxygen level. The inhabitants of Planet Quest love adventures. Their favorite place is a dangerous park on a desert planet near a black hole. So one guy named Lup goes there. He needs to try to survive there for 1 week. As soon as he arrives at the park, he comes across a space cockroach that has 6 heads. The cockroach jumps on Lup and bites him with one of its heads. Lup fights off the monster and gets back to the ship. The bite is venomous, but fortunately, Lup has an antidote. First, he needs to drink 1 pill that contains medicine, and after that, a catalyst that activates the cure. Then, Lup needs to repeat it 2 hours later. But the problem is the pills with the medicine and catalyst look similar, and Lup has mixed them in his pocket. He can't take 4 tablets at once because it's dangerous, so how can he separate them? Lup needs to crush all the pills and divide the powder into 2 equal parts. One is for now, and the other he'll swallow 2 hours later. There will be the same amount of catalyst and antidote in each part. You're on planet Veveki, in the Purple Pencil Nebula. Right now you're wandering through a dark forest. The trees are covered with pieces of toilet paper instead of leaves. You know you have company in the woods, a werewolf. You come to a rocky cliff and see 3 bridges leading to the other side of the forest. There are people on every bridge. Which one is the werewolf? It can be anybody, but it doesn't matter. No one can turn into a werewolf since there's no full moon here. This is not Earth, remember? A dwarf planet illuminates the sky. Welcome to the moon again. Right now, you witness the most incredible jumping competition. Thanks to the weak gravity on Earth's natural satellite, athletes can jump really high. But which of them will jump the highest? The participants put on their spacesuits and walk out of the atmospheric station. They seem to be ready. 3, 2, 1, jump! And we see the winner. She's jumped much higher than her opponents. But wait, there's something wrong here. This participant is not worthy of the title of the winner. She cheated. But how did you understand that? It's a hologram. All the participants left footprints on the ground after jumping and landing. But this girl has left no traces, which means she's not real. On the shore of Molten Gum, far away from the village of Talking Stones, there's a big house. This building is different from all others in this neighborhood since it exists in two-dimensional space. The owner is a rich architect, Mr. Ali Lee Bulb, who has just woken up after a 90,000-second nap. He finds a broken diamond banana in the kitchen. Mr. Ali Lee Bulb gets angry and calls everyone who was in the house while he was sleeping. He's going to find out who broke his amazing piece of jewelry. Big closed eye, cardboard giraffe with glasses, and three-headed pelican come into the living room.
Tell me who broke the banana.
Mr. Ali Lee Bulb says. I didn't do that. I was visiting rich old people in their dreams, Big closed eye tells him.
I was watching the Liquid Laughter 3D movie in the living room all this time,
the giraffe says.
I have no idea who I am and what's going on here.
I haven't touched your banana, said one of the pelican's heads. Mr. Ali Lee Bulb immediately realizes who's lied to him. And you? It's Cardboard Giraffe. He couldn't watch a 3D movie since the house only exists in 2 dimensions. It happened on a dark night on a purple planet. A fluffy snake crawled into the house where a purple guy was sleeping. It bit him, and the purple guy decided to go to a hospital. He told the doctor everything. She looked at the guy attentively and told him the snake hadn't been venomous. How did she know that? It was 3:45 a.m. on the clock in the guy's room. Now it's 11:45 p.m. on the clock in the examination room. The purple guy has spent almost a day trying to get to the hospital. So far, nothing bad has happened to him, which means the snake was not poisonous. The king of a tiny planet has no heirs. But then, who will become the ruler of this world? To choose the best candidate, the king gives every inhabitant 1 seed. Whoever grows the most beautiful flower will get the planet, the king tells them. Come back in 2 months. 2 months later, everyone came back with beautiful flowers. Among hundreds of candidates, there was one girl with an empty pot, and her brother with the most beautiful flower. The king said they would rule the planet. Why them? All the seeds were fake, and the girl didn't want to deceive the king by replacing the seed. Meanwhile, her brother put a lot of effort into growing the most beautiful plant to achieve his goal. Rain falls upward in this world, cars move backward, broken glass repairs itself. Pens erase words from paper. Chickens hide back in the egg at the end of their life. So you get it, time runs backward here. But something is wrong in this world. What is it? Try to look beyond the picture you've just seen before answering. The correct answer is my voice. It's not reversed. Space monsters are chasing you inside an abandoned space station somewhere at the edge of a faraway galaxy. They're stretching their toothy tentacles towards you. Fortunately, you manage to jump into a rescue ship and get out of there. Suddenly, you realize that the ship has no brakes. There's an asteroid belt to your left. A small black hole is on the right, and a red star is in the middle. Which way should you choose? None of these. Don't forget that you can also fly up or down. You're in outer space. It's raining diamonds every day on this planet. The rays of the closest star that warms this world contain gold particles. Banknotes grow on trees. Seas glow green because the water is filled with emeralds. Despite all this wealth, people don't want to live here. Why? Gold particles in the air can damage human lungs within seconds. Money trees don't produce oxygen, and there are no fish in the water because of the emeralds. People simply can't exist there.
A notorious bank robber came to the city, and huge sums of money started to disappear from the vaults of the city's banks. No one could stop the criminal. They were never caught on CCTV cameras. Bank security officers never saw anything suspicious. There was only one strange thing about the thief. They always left behind a slip of paper with a tooth, spider, and a lizard drawn on it. Was it some code? But several months later, the police managed to arrest 3 suspects. They were Mr. Pantafent, Ms. Toospard, and Mr. Superhero. Yep, some people do have bizarre last names. Who is the infamous bank robber? It was Miss Toospard. The pictures she kept leaving behind were her hint. Tooth, spider, lizard. Brandon's wife Brenda went to visit her friend who lived in another town. They agreed she would call her husband when she arrived there. But instead of calling, she sent him a message. Hey, everything is fine. I'll just go downstairs to buy coffee. I'll be brief now. More details in the next message. Love ya. Once Brandon read this message, he jumped into his sports car and rushed to the town where his wife had gone. Why? Brenda isn't simply terrible at spelling. The typing errors make up the word save. Someone stole extremely important documents from Mr. Larson's office. 1 week later, the police arrested the criminal. It was a woman called Emily. She was being questioned for 3 days straight, but still refused to tell the police where the folder with the documents was. Then, several officers visited her apartment. At first sight, nothing was out of the ordinary. But after careful inspection, they figured out where the documents were. Can you do the same? One floor tile seemed to be loose. Once the officers lifted it, they found the papers. When Victoria went to college, she started to live in a dormitory, sharing a room with another girl, Maria. Victoria's neighbor was very popular with guys. She had 3 admirers, Walter, Nathan, and Jeremy. But one day, Maria disappeared. Victoria was sure one of the guys was behind this. Maria loved drawing, and there were several pictures on her table. Victoria looked at them attentively and realized who she should ask about her friend. Jeremy must know something. Look at the pictures. A jacket, yo-yo, mouse, earth, rocket, and elephant. The first letters of these objects make up his name. Look at this poor guy. He seems to be stuck in the middle of a natural disaster. Which one should he choose to survive? A tornado, flood, or lightning strike? The only place where the guy might find some kind of shelter is a high hill behind his back. High ground during a lightning storm or a tornado is a terrible idea, which means the man will only be able to survive a flood. Carl was a rich man who had 2 adult sons, Ethan and Christian. They all lived in one house. One day, Carl saw that his most expensive ancient Chinese vase was missing. The only people who were at home the night before were his sons. The man didn't want to involve the police. That's why he decided to talk to each of his sons himself. He saw Ethan driving through the gates. He was back from his daily visit to the bakery. The guy said that the night before, he'd been practicing the guitar in his room. He didn't notice anything suspicious. Christian was near the swimming pool. He told his father, "Now I understand. Yesterday I saw Ethan. He was putting some box in the back seat of his car. It must have been the vase." But Carl immediately realized it was Christian who had taken the vase. How did he figure it out? Ethan drives a sports car. It only has 2 seats. He couldn't have put the box in the back seat. It means Christian is lying. Jack and Deborah lived in a pretty small house near a forest. One day, the man went for a walk and never came back. Deborah called the police, and they went to search for her husband. Soon they spotted him. He was lying on the ground, trapped under a large tree that had fallen on top of him. Suddenly, a stranger appeared from behind the trees. He exclaimed, "How terrible! But it's not a surprise, really. The wind was so strong this morning, it must have knocked down this tree." The police officers immediately arrested the man. Why? The tree doesn't look broken by the wind. It looks as if someone cut it down. It was an unusually snowy winter. Detective Adam Davis was walking home from his office when he saw a young woman. She was carrying 2 large bags. For some reason, the girl seemed suspicious to the detective. He came up to her, showed her his badge, and asked what she had in her bags. "Oh, I'm going on vacation. That's just some stuff I'll need there." And still, Adam called for backup and arrested her. Why? Look at the woman's footprints. She got out of the house through the window. A bizarre way to leave your own home. She must have broken into the house, and there are stolen things in her bags. A man was walking along a railroad track. Suddenly, he saw a train speeding toward him. But instead of getting away from the track immediately, the man started to run in the direction of the approaching train. When the train was very close, he finally jumped off the track. Why did he do this? When the man saw the train, he was on the bridge. He couldn't leave the track right away, and the near end of the bridge was closer to the oncoming train. Ryan worked as a cook's assistant in Mr. Miller's house. One day, the man's competitors promised Ryan to pay him a huge sum of money if he poisoned the rich businessman. Ryan waited until the cook took a day off. Then he made dinner for the whole family, Mr. Miller, his wife, and their 2 children. Each family member ordered a different dish. Ryan only poisoned the one the businessman was going to eat. You can save Mr. Miller if you guess which dish is his. Keep in mind that Donna, the man's wife, is a vegan. The businessman himself loves meat. Kira, the daughter, is on a diet, and Amy can't eat sugar. So, which dish did Ryan make for Mr. Miller? It's spaghetti with meat sauce. Congrats, you saved Mr. Miller. 4 girls were driving to a party. At some point, the one who was behind the wheel failed to control the car and crashed into a tree. Luckily, everyone in the car was wearing seatbelts, so no one was hurt. But when the police arrived, none of the girls wanted to admit she was the one who was driving. The officers examined the car and looked around, and in no time, they knew which girl was lying. Can you figure it out? Almost all the girls are wearing really high heels. It must be extremely uncomfortable and unsafe to drive wearing such shoes. And only the girl in the black dress has sneakers on. She was the driver. A math teacher told his students about Roman numerals. After that, he asked them to draw one line and turn 9 into 6. His only condition was that the students couldn't lift their pens from the paper until the line was finished. Mark was the first one to complete this task. How did he do it? He drew the letter S in front of IX and got 6. Jeffrey was brought up by his grandfather, who was a billionaire. Unfortunately, the guy didn't seem to know the value of money. The elderly man worried about his grandson. He told Jeffrey he would stop giving him money until the guy got married. It meant that Jeffrey had to forget about his fun life. No more fast cars, parties, and clubs. Luckily, it didn't take the guy long to find a girlfriend. They met on a dating site. Amanda seemed to be everything Jeffrey had been dreaming about. Smart, pretty, funny, and rich. The guy was about to propose to her when something happened. One day, Amanda sent him a photo. In this photo, she was standing next to a luxurious car. The message she sent afterward read, "How do you like my new toy?" That's when Jeffrey realized Amanda had been lying to him all this time. How did he figure it out? The girl is wearing a badge in the photo. She must be working at a car dealership, not buying extravagant cars. There was a blackout in the city, but a bus driver still noticed a dog on the road. He managed to stop in time not to hit the animal. How come? This near miss happened during the day. They have no feathers, no scales, no body, and no bones. And yet, they have fingers and thumbs of their own. What are they? A pair of gloves.
So Dave had to sneak into his mom's computer to delete some emails he accidentally sent her. His mom had a bad memory, so she always had notes with her passcodes. Luckily, the note was right there again, saying 9868. Dave entered the passcode, but it was wrong. Why? And what's the actual passcode? The note was just turned upside down. The actual passcode is 8986. Stephanie came home after a long day at work. She was very excited to finally eat her favorite chocolate she had been dreaming about all day. But the chocolate was gone. Stephanie interrogated each of her family members. Her husband said, "I just got home from work too and haven't eaten anything all day." Her daughter Della said, "I was studying all day and didn't eat anything too." Della's twin brother Arnie said, "It wasn't me." Who ate the chocolate? Take a closer look at Della's desk. There's a chocolate wrapper, but she said she didn't eat anything. She must have lied. A grocery store manager noticed that recently they started to lose watermelons. He suggested that there's a watermelon thief coming at the store from time to time. He opened one of the security videos and could immediately tell who the thief was. Look at the picture and try to guess who is the culprit. Look at the guy in the middle. He has a ball in his hands, but he's holding it like it's very heavy. Usually, balls aren't heavy, so it must be a watermelon. Tom and Mark came to the job audition. The company doesn't want to hire parents because they need full commitment. Both men said that they're not parents, but one of them is lying. Can you tell who? It's Mark. Take a closer look at his hand. There's a pink scrunchie on it. He must have done his daughter's hair before the audition. Mrs. Smith invited her neighbors over for a fancy dinner. She used her best tea set and silver cutlery and cooked a great meal. However, during the dinner, she realized that one of her neighbors is a vampire. Who is the vampire, and how did she understand it? The vampire is the one who brought his own plastic spoon and is eating with it instead of with Mrs. Smith's silver cutlery. That's because vampires are afraid of silver. Four friends met after the summer break and talked about how their summer went. Toby was bragging about the months he spent in Chile and how hot it was there. However, his friends didn't believe him and called him a liar. Why? Chile is located in the southern hemisphere. During the summertime, it's winter there. Toby said it was hot, which can't be true. Three friends, Blair, Chloe, and Nell, were walking all day around town. They found a beautiful but dusty house where no one lived. They entered it and started to take pictures. In the evening, they were scrolling through the pictures and one of them made a scream. Take a look at the photos and say which one scared them and why. It's the first picture. There was no one in the house except for the girls, but on that picture, they're all three of them together, snapped from behind. Michelle was having a birthday party. She noticed her brother was eating in his room with some girl. However, she didn't know who it was. She got very curious, so after they left, she sneaked into his room to find some hints. There were three girls at her party: Jasmine, Sydney, and Nicole. Michelle immediately guessed who her brother was dating. Can you? Her brother was dating Jasmine. Look at the dishes and the cutlery. There's a lipstick stain on the fork. Jasmine is the only one wearing lipstick. Pamela is a lawyer and Samantha is a journalist. Can you guess which one of these women is a mother? Take a look at the background. On the wall behind Samantha, there's some colorful marker scribbles. She must be a mother. Gianna was getting ready for her date. Suddenly, the lights in her apartment went off. She was almost ready and only needed her gloves. It was dark and she couldn't find a fitted pair. She only had gloves of two colors, brown and black. She was already late, so she decided to leave, taking several gloves with her. How many gloves should she take with her to be sure there's a pair of the same color? She just needs 3. Even if the first 2 are of a different color, the third one will either be black or brown, matching the other one. A police officer was following a robber around the city. Suddenly, the robber entered the hospital and disappeared. When the police officer entered the building, there were 3 workers. One of them must be a robber who dressed up to pretend to be a doctor. Can you tell who? It's the man in the middle. Look at his badge. There's a picture of a woman on it. He must have worn the first pair of clothes he noticed. It was Christmas morning and the whole family was home. When Bailey returned in her room after watching her show on TV, she found that someone stole all the presents she'd been wrapping. She questioned every person in the house. Her mom said that she had been making dinner. Her dad said he had been mowing the lawn. Her brother said he had been playing video games in his room. Who stole the presents? It was Bailey's dad. It's winter, and we could see that it's snowing outside. He just couldn't mow the lawn. In the Arts Museum, the lights went off for a couple of minutes. When they came back on, the most expensive painting was missing. The detective arrived and started the investigation. There were 3 suspects, and he questioned each of them. Jessica, a dance teacher, said that she had been so scared when the lights went off that she couldn't even move and for sure didn't touch anything. Derek, a journalist, said he'd been in the bathroom at the time. Collins, an engineer, said he had been in a different room of the museum, watching the dinosaur fossil. Who's lying? It's Collins. It's an art museum. There are no dinosaur exhibitions. Can you tell who's not a real werewolf? It's actually the guy who looks like a werewolf. Werewolves only turn into wolves during the time of the full moon and at night. It's daytime now, so the guy must be just wearing a costume. Esme was having a walk in the forest. After the dawn, she tried to find her way back home, but got lost. Finally, she came across a witch's house and asked her to take her home. The witch agreed to help her, but only if Esme solved her riddle. If not, she'd have to stay with the witch forever. The witch took an apple, tied a string to it, and held it. She asked Esme to cut the string in half so that the apple didn't fall down. However, Esme couldn't touch the apple or hold it. How could she do it? Esme should tie a knot in the middle of the string, make it into a loop, and then cut the apple. The time police have found out that there's a time traveler who uses the time machine more often than allowed. They tracked him and followed him to the Stone Age. Can you guess who's the time traveler? It's this guy who's wearing sneakers. Sneakers in the Stone Age? Really? Mr. Brown was robbed in the street. The culprit hit him on the right side of his head and ran away with his wallet. Mr. Brown didn't see who it was, but he noticed that the person entered a nearby hospital. When he entered, there were 3 people sitting there. Take a close look at them and tell who was the culprit. Mr. Brown was hit on the right side of his face. This means that the robber is left-handed. Look at where the bags stand next to those people. The first woman has her purse on the left side of her, which means it must have been her. For her birthday, Sienna got a beautiful hairpin. She brought it to school and showed it to her friends during lunch. Then she left for the bathroom, and when she returned, the hairpin was gone. Take a look at the pictures before and after, and tell which of her friends stole it. Look at the glass of juice of the red-haired girl. It looks like there's more juice on the later picture. No, there's not. She just put a hairpin in the glass. Mr. Green got in a car accident and spent a month in the hospital. He got amnesia and partially forgot things. He didn't have any family, and after a month, he finally returned home. He found his street, but then he realized he didn't remember which of the 2 houses was actually his. Can you guess which one it was? His house is the one where the snow is unshoveled. He spent a month in the hospital and lives alone, so no one could clean the driveway. Look at the Christmas photos of 2 families. Can you tell which family is poor? The poor family is the second one. Even though the son has a big present, the parents don't have any presents at all. They probably couldn't afford to buy presents for themselves.
I have some more riddles for you today. Let's start with the easy ones for a warm-up. Can you find the odd one out? Yep, here it is. Here's another one. Find an odd one out here then. Perfect, here it is. How about this one? Right here. Did you find it? And it's getting harder. What about the odd one out here? Look, it's this one. All the other hands are the right ones, and this one is the only left hand. Now I'll show you two pictures. Your task is to find 5 differences between them. Ready? Here they are. How many did you spot? Let's do it one more time. Find 5 differences here. Keep your eyes wide open. So did you manage to do it? I think you're now prepared for more hardcore tasks. Let's start with decoding. Detective Callum has been searching for a missing girl, Riley, for 3 weeks. He was in his office going through the case for the 100th time when he got an anonymous email saying, "Can you guess what's written here?" It's just written in reverse order. If you read it from right to left, the message turns into, "The girl is in a hidden room beneath the Central Cafe. Bring $500 and I will tell you the passcode." Someone robbed a bank, and Detective Callum was leading the investigation. There were 2 robbers, but the police managed to catch only one of them, Dante. Dante refused to name his accomplice, but the police had 3 suspects, Bree, Ivory, and Ronan. Detective Callum took a brief look at them and knew exactly who the second robber was. Who was it, and how did he know? It's Ivory. Look, she has the exact same tattoo on her wrist as Dante. Holland went to work and asked her boyfriend, Kyler, to walk the dog. Kyler agreed, but then his friend called him and suggested to come over to play a new video game. So, Kyler decided to skip the dog walk and went straight to his friends. Holland and he met right outside the house when they were both going back home. Kyler said that he'd walked the dog and then went to play with his friend. But Holland knew that he was lying. How? It's winter, so just look at the footprints. There are Holland's footprints on the snow going both ways, and Kyler's footprints going both ways too, but there are no footprints of the dog. Someone in a little town was stealing bicycles. Every time someone's bike was stolen, the owner would find a business card with 2 emojis printed on it. The police had 3 main suspects, Ocean Walker, Rebecca Smith, and Damian Jones. Who is the robber? The emojis signify the name. They are a wave and a person walking, so the robber must be Mr. Ocean Walker. On Wednesday, after a break, Nash came to his desk and found a short love note written in red ink. It wasn't signed, but Nash had 3 girls in mind, so he asked each of them if she had written him the note. Layla said that she'd been chatting with her friends and didn't write any notes. Dawn said that she was busy all break finishing her homework. Oakley said that she had been in the bathroom and had just come back. Who do you think wrote the note? Look, Oakley's hands are covered in ink. It's blue ink, but still. If she really was in the bathroom, her hands would be clean. So she must be lying, and she must be the one who wrote that note. Adley was kidnapped and woke up in a dungeon. There were 3 ways out, but they all looked dangerous. Behind one door, there were many little robots that were ready to attack her. Behind the second door, there were 3 trained tigers. Behind the third door, there were 3 big and very hungry dogs. Which way should Adley choose to get out safely? The best choice must be the first door. Although they're robots, they're still super small and probably can't cause her much harm. Right before a restaurant was about to open, someone had stolen all the money from the cashier's desk. A cook said that he was working in the kitchen and didn't have any free time. The security guy said that he was in the bathroom and didn't see anything. The waiter said that there was a suspicious visitor peeking around. Who do you think stole the money? The restaurant was still closed and there couldn't be any visitors, so the waiter must have lied and is probably guilty. Ned works in a club, and his job is to check people's ID cards and not to let suspicious people or folks under 21 in. Take a look at ID cards and help him decide if he can let each visitor in or not. Here's the first one. What do you think? She seems fine. Let her in. Okay, here's the next visitor. What do you say? June 31st does not exist. There are just 30 days in June, so nope. What about this guy? Something is wrong once again. Even though February 29th theoretically exists, there was no February 29th in 1977. It's every year that can be divided by 4. Okay, what do you think about this girl? I don't see anything suspicious about her. Here's another candidate for the club. What do you think? Well, he is 22, and he seems fine to me. Let him in. A student was having an oral chemistry exam and was struggling with his last task. His professor decided to help him and have some fun, so he said that instead of the task, the student could guess his daughter's name. He only had one guess, but there was a hint. He wrote down several numbers: 32, 10, 14, 16. What's the professor's daughter's name? It's a chemistry class and chemistry professor, so there must be something related to chemistry. Look, there's even a periodic table in the background to help you. The 32nd element is germanium, or Ge, and the 10th one is neon, or Ne, and the 14th one is silicon, or Si, and finally, the 16th element is sulfur, or S. Together, they form the name Genesis. A bank was robbed, but they couldn't find the robber. A week later, at night, Detective Callum woke up from a call from a local shop's owner. He said that he found the money under his terrace. Detective Callum arrived, but there was only half of the money stolen. The man said that he had seen a man by his shop a week ago. It was a full moon, so he could see that the man had red hair and was wearing a dark hoodie. Still, the shop owner was arrested. Why? The shop owner said it was a full moon a week ago, but look, it's a full moon right now, so the man must be lying about something. In history class, students were asked to prepare a presentation about their ancestors. Edwin told about his great-great-grandpa who moved to New York and started as a salesman and then built a huge business. He even showed a photograph of his young grandpa in New York, but no one believed Edwin's story. Why? Even though the picture is black and white and looks old, old New York looks very much like modern New York, with dozens of skyscrapers. The class noticed and figured out that it definitely wasn't a real photo. Royce called the police and reported that someone had robbed his house. Detective Callum arrived and asked Royce to tell exactly what happened. Royce said that he had walked into his room and saw someone getting out of the window. It was still open because Royce didn't care to close it or touch anything before the police arrived. He checked his wardrobe and found that his savings had been stolen. Detective Callum closed the case. Why? The robber couldn't go out the window without stepping on the bed, but the bed is perfectly made, so it looks like no one was leaving through the window. Kaya was studying in the library. She went to the bathroom and left her things on the desk. When she returned, she found that her wallet had been stolen. She called the police and they interrogated the 3 students who were also in the library. Andre said that he had left the library right after Kaya to get a drink from the vending machine and hadn't touched any of her things. Poppy said that she was studying the whole time and not paying attention to anything. Rhea said that she was in the other part of the library looking for a book she needed and hadn't seen anything suspicious either. Who stole the wallet? It was Andre. He said that he had left to get a drink in a vending machine, but look, there's no drinks in the vending machine, only snacks. A young man named Colton was living with his best friend Cassidy. One morning, he called the police because Cassidy wasn't breathing. He said that he'd been working all day and had returned home late, so he hadn't seen her or talked to her for over a day. In the morning, he found her in bed like that. Last night, Cassidy had a headache and had to take many pills, so maybe that was the reason. Colton was immediately arrested. Why? Colton obviously didn't communicate with Cassidy, but he still somehow knew what she was doing in the evening. He must have come up with all of it, as he is probably guilty.
Yep, the police found out that several criminals were going to leave the country by plane. Unfortunately, no one knew what they looked like or how big the group was. 4 suspicious men were detained and their baggage was examined. Can you figure out who is innocent? Why would a bald man need a shampoo? A supposedly blind person with a flashlight? Toothpaste without a toothbrush? It seems only the man on the left isn't a criminal. Anne invited her friends to spend a week in her house. The young people were having tons of fun. The day before they had to leave, a terrible storm started. It was pouring with rain. Strong winds were breaking trees, tearing down power lines, and causing power outages all over the place. The next morning, the weather was better, but Anne discovered that her favorite ring with a diamond her granny had left her many years ago was missing. She asked all her friends to come to the living room. "I can't find one thing that's very important to me. Can you tell me what you were doing yesterday?" Megan answered she spent most of the whole day in her room reading. Walter said, "I was practicing my electric guitar in the garage." Marie told Anne she didn't even know what the ring looked like. Anne knew right away who the thief was. Can you figure it out too? There was a power outage. It means Walter couldn't be playing an electric guitar. And Anne said nothing about the important thing being a ring. So how did Marie know it? Walter and Marie stole the ring together. A jewelry store manager called the police. "Help!" he shouted. "My store has been robbed!" When the officers arrived at the place, they couldn't see the man. Suddenly, they heard someone banging on the door. They didn't notice this door at first because it was hidden in the corner. When they unlocked it, they saw a man. It was the manager. "Someone locked me in here. It must be one of the shop assistants." The police officers asked the man to call his employees. They were going to question them. "Just a second, I can't find my phone." "Ah, here it is." The manager didn't even start to dial the number before the officers arrested him. Why? If he was locked in the room and the phone was lying on the counter, how could he call the police? Police Detective Thomas Davis was walking along the street on a winter evening. Suddenly, he saw a person in a black mask sneaking out of a house through the window. They were carrying 2 large bags. The detective realized it was a burglar. He ran after the stranger, but they turned the corner and disappeared. Thomas understood the criminal had hidden in one of these houses. But which one? It can't be the house on the left. There are too many people inside. There are no footprints in the snow leading to the house on the right. It means no one has been there for quite some time. Which leaves us with the house in the middle. Nathan sneaked out of the house late in the evening to meet his girlfriend. The teenager thought he was extremely careful and quiet, but his whole family knew about his plan. They were aware the guy would return at midnight. They decided to make a bet. The one who would see Nathan first when the guy started climbing the fence would be the winner. No chores for them for 1 week. Not to fall asleep, Nathan's dad switched on the TV. The teen's grandfather settled in the living room to read a book. The grandmother went to the kitchen to make pizza. And Nathan's mom went to her room, sat down on the floor, and started to meditate. Who's going to be the first to spot Nathan when the time comes? Nathan's mom. Her eyes will be used to the darkness, and she will see better than the others. A family with 2 teenage children went on vacation to the seaside. They lived in a small bungalow almost right on the beach. Everything was great at first, but 2 days after their arrival, the younger son went missing. The police had 4 suspects. They invited the guy's family to look at them. Maybe they could recognize someone. The teenager's mother didn't need more than a glance before she knew who was behind her son's disappearance. Who was it? It's the man wearing the missing guy's baseball cap. Carl, an heir to a giant fortune, was found unconscious during a wild party. His sister, Sarah, stumbled across him in the bathroom. The guy was lying on the floor, barely alive. Sarah immediately called the ambulance and police. Carl was taken to a hospital. Doctors saved his life, but the guy was still unconscious. He couldn't talk. When the police questioned Sarah, she told them that her brother had felt unwell. He went to the bathroom to freshen up. After some time, she heard some noise and went to check on him. Carl must have slipped and hit his head on the sink. After the police officers heard this story, the sister got arrested right away. Why? For one thing, it happened during a loud party. How could the girl hear any suspicious noise? Carl was also lying too far away from the sink, which was on the other side of the bathroom. Boy, with a sister like that. Look at this picture and try to figure out who is from the future. Well, I'm pretty sure there were no flashlights in the Stone Age. All the people working in the office, Janice, Brian, Teresa, Sean, and Roy, used the fridge in the kitchen to store their lunch. On Friday, Janice opened the fridge to get her bacon and cheese sandwich she brought from home. But it wasn't there. Someone had eaten her lunch. Who was it? Well, it couldn't be Brian. There's a wet umbrella near his desk. He has just come in. Teresa is a vegan. She eats neither cheese nor bacon. Roy is on a diet, and such a sandwich is by no means light food. This means Sean was the one who stole Janice's sandwich. You bad boy. When Joe came to work, he saw his safe was open. All the money and important documents were gone. He immediately called his friend, Detective Callum. When the man arrived, Joe told him, "I think it was one of my employees. They must have borrowed my key and opened the safe." Callum questioned the three people who worked for Joe. Wayne said, "I don't even know what the safe looks like. And of course, I don't know which key opens it." Austin said, "I'm Joe's assistant. I do have the second key to the safe, but I was on holiday and just returned." And Julia just said, "I can't prove it, but I didn't do it." Who's lying? Wayne. No one told him the safe could be opened with a key, not a combination lock. Then, how did he know? Someone stole several expensive t-shirts in a designer clothing store. The manager told the security guard he had half an hour to find the thief. "If you don't make it in time, you'll be fired." The guard rushed to watch the CCTV footage. Luckily, he managed to figure out who the thief was before his time ran out. And do you know who it was? It's the man in the dark blue sweater. His belly miraculously became larger after he spent some time in the store. He must be hiding the t-shirts under his sweater. Look at this picture and try to understand what's wrong here. The reflection in the mirror is all wrong. Terry was sailing around the world when his yacht got caught in a terrible storm. At one moment, the guy hit his head against the mast and lost consciousness. When he came around, he was on a beach. Unfriendly-looking locals had gathered around. Soon, Terry figured out they really didn't like strangers. They offered the guy three options: to send him to a cave filled with tarantulas, throw him into a pit swarming with yellow scorpions, or make him meet hungry lions. What should Terry choose to survive? He should opt for tarantulas. These creatures look terrifying, but they are mostly harmless to humans. Mostly. Captain Jack was a feared pirate who had robbed thousands of ships. He did it with the help of just one small trick. It allowed him to approach any ship from any country close enough to board it. What was this trick? Captain Jack had a collection of flags from different countries. Instead of using Jolly Roger, the fearsome black flag, he raised the flag of the country the ship was from. It got him immediate access. In what situation do you have more chances to survive? If you're falling from a 10-story building, or if you come across several scary snakes that look unfriendly? The snakes might not be venomous, then they won't cause you any harm. But if you're falling from a big height, well, only a miracle can… Nah, nothing's gonna save you. Bye-bye. Lily had problems at college because her logical thinking was weak. One day, her teacher said, "I'll give you one last riddle. If you fail, I will expel you from college." A farmer had 17 cows. All but 5 escaped. How many cows does the farmer have now? Lily didn't manage to give a correct answer. Can you do it? The riddle said all but 5 escaped, which means all others except the 5 cows escaped. So the farmer has 5 cows now. It's tricky because it's too simple. The teacher kicked Lily out of college. She was collecting her stuff in her dorm room and crying. Suddenly, a letter flew into her window. It was an invitation to study at the School of Magic addressed to her. At the bottom of the letter, she saw this code and the words, "See you there," Lily got very excited. She packed her backpack and ran away. Where did she run to? She ran to the library. In the library, Lily met a weird guy looking like a wizard. He opened 3 magical portals, but only one of them was safe. The first portal leads inside a massive black hole. The second portal will bring her to the year 9999. And the third portal leads to a group of ghosts. If Lily chooses the right way, she will get to the School of Magic. Which portal should she choose? The third one. Ghosts can be scary, but they're usually not dangerous, while the first 2 options are too risky. Lily found herself in a beautiful, snowy forest. Suddenly, 4 male ghosts surrounded her and said, "We'll show you the way to your new school if you spot one fake ghost among us." Can you help Lily find the fake? There it is. Ghosts don't breathe. The ghost took Lily to a castle. When she entered its hall, she faced 4 female ghosts. They surrounded her and said, "We'll show you the way to the principal's office if you guess which one of us isn't a ghost." Did you figure it out? This lady has a shadow. Lily entered the office and noticed 5 ghosts there. They asked her the same riddle and promised to show her a secret door. Can you spot the pretender? It's this guy right here. Ghosts don't eat. Lily opened a secret door and met 3 women, but only one of them is the principal. Can you guess who? It's the second lady. Her jacket is hanging on the principal's chair. The principal greeted Lily and offered her to solve a riddle right away. There are 2 rows of potion bottles on 2 shelves. Lily has to move just 1 bottle on the top row so that they'll be in the same order as the bottles in the bottom row. Can you help her? Pour the potion from the first bottle into the 4th bottle and move the now empty bottle all the way to the right. The principal congratulated Lily on getting accepted to the School of Magic and asked the ghost to show her the dorm room. Lily fell asleep very quickly, but in the middle of the night, she woke up floating out of her window. 2 students prepared a welcome prank for her. Lily found herself on a castle roof. The 2 students in masks said, "We'll set you free if you guess this riddle." There are 4 frogs in the vertical row and 5 frogs in the horizontal row. Lily has to move just 1 frog so that there are 5 frogs in each row. Can you help her? Yep, just like that. Easy. The students wrote 5 words in the air using their magic wands. Then they asked Lily to take a look at the words and find the odd one out. Can you name it? The board doesn't belong here because it doesn't form a word if you read it backward. The wizards opened a portal and pushed Lily inside. The portal took her to a creepy basement where Lily found 3 doors. There's a wild jungle with a hungry gorilla behind the first door. Behind the second door, there's a river with wild alligators waiting to eat Lily. And there's a huge angry cobra behind the third door. Which way should Lily go? She should pick the first one. She can distract the gorilla with all these bananas. Next morning, Lily went to her first class, but someone locked the door. Lily pushed the door and noticed a screen with a riddle. It said, "Find an odd detail out and I'll let you in." Can you see it? This one is not an S. Lily opened the door and faced another door with a similar riddle. Can you help her? This guy doesn't belong here. The last door offered Lily this riddle. In 2 seconds, she entered the classroom and started her studies. What detail did she notice? This one, right here. During the class, a teacher offered Lily to find 3 differences between these 2 pictures. Can you see them? That's right, here they are. How about these images? Can you see 3 differences? I didn't see this one coming. Can you help Lily spot 3 differences here? Good job! I hope you got them all. Lily came to the dining room for lunch. Plates full of food appeared out of the air, but Lily's classmate, Mike, warned her that only one dish is actually edible. Can you help Lily figure out which one? This delicious-looking spaghetti has rusty nails in it. This food isn't even real. Take a look, it's translucent. This salad contains worms. Ew. And this taco looks pretty good. After lunch, Lily had a botany lesson. The teacher went to the garden to pick fruits from one apple tree and prepare a special healing potion. The tree has 18 branches. Each branch has exactly 14 boughs. Each bough has 7 twigs, and each twig has 2 fruits. How many oranges will the teacher pick? Lily instantly gave the correct answer. Can you name it? The teacher won't bring any oranges. They don't grow on apple trees. Lily went apple picking with Mike. On the way back, they met 4 of their classmates. There were only 5 apples in the basket. Lily had to divide them equally between the students. But 1 apple had to remain in the basket she'd bring to class. How would she divide the apples? She can give 4 apples to the classmates, leaving 1 apple in the basket for Mike, and then walk to class with Mike. In the evening, Lily found one of her roommates unconscious in the backyard. The principal questioned 3 suspects. Mike went to bed early and loud noises woke him up. Leah was watching her favorite show. She didn't go outside at all. Kelly was carving pumpkins to spice up the living room, and she didn't see anything suspicious. Who's lying? Looks like Kelly is lying. The room isn't decorated, and the pumpkins aren't finished. Next day, Lily opened her closet and noticed that her favorite dress was missing. She spoke to 3 of her roommates. Leah said she'd spent all morning in the library. Kelly confessed that she had been on a secret date. And Vanessa despises all clothes from the human world. She doesn't even come close to it. Who's lying? Vanessa is lying. Look at her hat. It's made from the same fabric as Lily's dress. If human clothing is so disgusting to her, why does she wear it herself? Mike learned a new spell and turned his textbook into a fancy car. He invited Lily for a ride. 3 people were hitchhiking at a gas station. All of them looked pretty suspicious. Who should Lily and Mike give a ride to? This man doesn't cast a shadow. He's a vampire. This lady was bitten by a vampire. She'll soon turn into a vampire too, so it's not safe to offer her a ride. And this guy is just an ordinary man.
Oh yeah.
Lily entered a classroom and received a new riddle.
Oh yes.
4 wizards are lined up on some steps. They're all facing the same direction. A wall separates the 4th wizard from the remaining 3. The first wizard can see the second and third wizard. The second wizard can only see the third one. The third wizard can see none of the others. And the 4th wizard can't see any of the others either. All wizards are wearing hats. They are told there are 2 white hats and 2 black hats. The wizards initially don't know what color hat they're wearing. Their task is to shout out the color of the hat they are wearing as soon as they know for certain what color it is. They're not allowed to turn around or move. They're not allowed to talk to each other or take their hats off. Who is the first person to shout out and why? The second wizard will shout out the answer after some time. Here's why. Wizards 3 and 4 cannot see the other's hats. Wizard 1 sees a white hat and a black hat and knows his hat can be black or white. Wizard 2 sees one black hat, but if he's also wearing a black hat, it would be obvious to Wizard 1 that he's wearing a white hat. Since Wizard 1 didn't shout out, Wizard 2 concluded that he himself was wearing a white hat. Lily, Mike, Leah, and Mason were having a party in Mike's room to celebrate successfully passing a test. The next day, they found Mike unconscious, and none of his friends knew what had happened to him. When the principal showed up, she saw a note next to Mike's calendar. It read 3, 4, 9, 10, 11. That very second, the principal knew who did it. What about you? It was Mason. The note was next to a calendar. Take the first 3 letters, transform them into months, and you get Mason. 3 equals March, 4 stands for April, 9 means September, 10 equals October, and 11 is November.